Hello everybody, I'm Corey and we're talking Manpower. Today, I'm with Mr. Kirby Lampersberger. He's the director of the Manpower and Force Management course, which is offered by the Army Logistics University, and he's based out of Fort Lee. Mr. Lampersberger, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So can you explain to me a little bit about the Manpower and Force Management course?
Yes, I'd be happy to. The Army's Manpower and Force Management course is basically designed first and foremost for Department of the Army civilians who are in Career Program 26, which is Manpower and Force Management. And they are essentially, if you will, the operators of Manpower and Force Management for the Army. In addition, the course supports those military personnel, our distinguished soldiers, who require additional skill identifier Alpha 3. This course is really all about, we have three outcomes in the course. One is understanding the importance of communicative skills and other knowledge skills and staff skills. Then the second part is understanding how the Army gets its resourcing ultimately from the Congress through the Department of Defense and down to the local level. And then another important aspect of the course is how we go about the business of determining requirements for what we call the generating force as well as the operating force. And let me take a moment to explain what those terms mean. When we use the term generating force, we're really talking about that side of the Army that is made up of organizations that have a manpower document we call a table of distribution and allowances. And that document routinely reflects the majority of personnel positions as civilian, followed by some military positions. The other side of the Army, the operating force, is basically made up of organizations that have a requirements document we call a table of organization and equipment, and those organizations contain only military personnel. And those personnel and their organization deploy to conduct Army operations. So this third aspect of what the course entails is all about requirements determination for both primarily the generating force and then also for the operating force. And to facilitate that, we have a number of exercises that support our delivery of the course.
So as the director of the course, what are your responsibilities?
First and foremost, I'm the primary instructor for the course, and when I say instructor, it's almost in a sense I should probably use the word facilitator, because it's not so much me instructing as it is me facilitating the learning of our distinguished manpower community, whether they be civilian or whether they be military. Then to support that, I have the responsibility of updating all of the presentations that are contained within the course, and that routinely requires me to reach out across the Army and get information to ensure that the information that we have is current, relevant, and up to date. And interestingly enough, I get quite a lot of contemporary information from those that attend the course as well, and I welcome that. Now, I can't take what they say at face value until I validate it, notwithstanding, routinely it proves to be true, and with each iteration of the class that I teach, I wind up having to update those presentations, which ultimately necessitates my updating the primary program of instruction for the course as well. So those are some of the duties that I have. And another kind of sidebar duty would be to maintain my professional relevance through association with other organizations like the American Society for Military Comptrollers and other organizations like that as well.
So you're kind of like that one-man band, setting the direction, developing the plan, and then executing the plan.
Understood. I am a one-man band, but I don't sound as nice as an orchestra, that's for certain.
So why is the Manpower and Force Management course important?
It's very important in the sense that until you have an understanding of the relationship between manpower and workload, you're never going to fully appreciate why we need the manpower positions that we need. What this course does is it breaks it down to its basic level and helps us to appreciate that an organization is made up of positions, by and large, that exist because they have been rigorously, through rigorous analysis, determined to have relevance in the performance of some type of workload that's routinely defined by the accomplishment of functions and tasks. So having said that, the course focuses on this relationship of manpower as an input and workload as an output, ultimately with the idea that we can use that relationship for the future predictability of required manpower in any given organization. So the course is very important in this context of understanding manpower requirements. A second reason the course is important is that it provides one with a good background in understanding how the Army ultimately gets its manpower and force management resourcing. And that starts off from the top, like the Capitol hilltop, and works its way down through the Department of Defense to the Army and ultimately to the Army commands.
So during the course, I understand that there's a lot of different exercises to include the Fort Elkton case study. Why are exercises like the Fort Elkton case study important, and why is that case study even in there?
Okay, the Fort Elkton case study is actually an integral part of the course, and the reason it's in there and why it's important is it's our initial attempt to introduce someone who would otherwise not have familiarity with it to the Army's primary manpower requirements determination process, namely the five-phased approach. Now, the proponent for that five-phased approach, that manpower requirements determination process, is the United States Army Manpower Analysis Agency, and it's from them that I received that material and we've integrated it into the course. It's very beneficial, and it's important because students need to understand how we go about determining manpower requirements determination. And also the exercises are important in the sense that they facilitate small group interaction, and we consider that very important in the context that internal discussion, each individual sharing, if you will, his or her perspective on some type of manpower or force management issue. In many cases, those perspectives will be diverse and different, and that's okay and well and fine as it should be. But the idea being that through this exposure and engagement, one looks at his or her own perspective on a manpower force management issue and then asks the deep question, am I really right in my perspective? Or is what other people saying have relevance as well? So that these small group exercises, these discussions in a sense, promote what we call critical thinking, and we really want to promote that in this course. The idea of challenging conventional wisdom and letting facts, figures, and data do more of the talking for us rather than just personal emotion. So it's all this interaction that makes the course so meaningful and vibrant and important in forming one's own perspective.
So I would think about me personally, I would just think that looking at it from different perspectives, everybody, when they're making these decisions, is going to have a different perspective. And by understanding where other people can come from, they can open their frame of reference up to
Exactly.
and make a better informed decision.
Exactly. Along those lines, if I may elaborate on that too, is it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's difficult, but there is a bit of a challenge in the role that I facilitate, and that is that technically I'm supposed to represent, if you will, the Department of the Army perspective, the G357, the G8, and the G1 perspective on Army manpower. And I do that. But on the other hand, I don't want to be too insensitive and just push aside what's happening at the Army command level and at the local level as well. So I have to kind of balance that and be sensitive all the way around the board, so to speak. But ultimately, what we attempt to do is bring it all together in a meaningful way so that everyone can have an appreciation for manpower regardless of what level you're at.
So I know, obviously, Army Logistics University is based at Fort Lee, and that's where you're based as well. Is Fort Lee the only place where I can take the course?
No, it is not. As a matter of fact, to explain that, routinely in any given fiscal year, we offer the course 10 to 12 times. And of those 10 to 12 times, we conduct it 3 to 4 times here at Fort Lee, by and large. The rest of the class opportunities are elsewhere around the continental United States or in Europe or in the Pacific Rim, as the case might be. Routinely, I go to Fort Bragg, Redstone, Alabama. Routinely, we go to Europe and also to U.S. Army Pacific. Pity that. But that's where we go and to conduct the course. So there's plenty of opportunities on on-site locations. And since you brought that up, oftentimes it might be easier for someone to get into a class that's at another location than it is to get into Fort Lee. There's a very high demand for attendance at Fort Lee, which is it's a bittersweet thing. On the one hand, it's a good thing in that the demand for the course is through the roof. The less than positive thing is that we can only take so many people that would like to come because we're limited by our classroom infrastructure. But otherwise, you can take the course at Fort Lee. It is competitive to get in there. The waiting list is routinely long. So for those that are interested in taking it here at Fort Lee, and I would encourage you to do so, try to get in on that as early as possible. Otherwise, if you want to take it at another location, feel free to contact me directly, and you can do that. I have no heartburn with that. My telephone contact number would be area code 804-765-4703, or you can find me on the global Lampersberger. I spell Lima, Alpha, Mike, Papa, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Bravo, Echo, Romeo, Golf, Echo, Romeo, first name Kirby, Kilo, India, Romeo, Bravo, Yankee. And don't worry, I'm the only one in the whole Department of Defense, so I can't get away from you.
Well, Mr. Lampersberger, one thing you can do, you can make a note, put me down in the course in Hawaii, because I could do with a nice trip out there. So
very good, sir.
Put me on notice there, and I'll see you out there.
I will see if we can't make that happen for you.
So what's the best part about being the instructor and designing the course, and do you enjoy this?
Let me start by answering the latter part of the question first. I absolutely love this class and this course, and I love doing the work that I do. And the reason that I enjoy doing it so much, now to get back to the former part of the question, is that it affords me the opportunity to do a lot of research, which I can then take the results of that and integrate into the course presentations and ultimately into the program of instruction. Also, the reason that I enjoy this job so much is that I love to teach and I love to facilitate learning. And this course definitely affords that opportunity. And it also affords me the opportunity, if you will, to represent the Army in a way that I love. I can share my prior military experience as well as relate that to how it helps me now as a Department of the Army civilian in the performance of my duties. And it's been a great course. And I guess one of the other great benefits of being in this position is the fact that I get to meet so many wonderful Army professionals, civilian and military, and I get to learn from them and their perspective more about manpower and force management than just the regular, headquarters Department of the Army line perspective, even though that's important, don't get me wrong. But I get a diversity of perspectives that help me then formulate, if you will, how we bring all our community together with the understanding that everything we do is critical to supporting the strategic direction of this great Army.
So, why are manpower and force management important to the Army?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you asked that question. In fact, I respectfully submit that they are now more than ever in the history of our Army critical. And the reason I say that is that with the pending end-strength reduction of the military and now the civilian reductions, and that's exactly what the Department of Defense is calling them, civilian reductions, we have to ask an important question. And the important question we need to ask from a manpower perspective is this: what's happening with all that workload out there? Is it just going to go away, or is it going to be absorbed elsewhere? These are important questions to ask, because we only have so many personnel positions to accomplish a lot of things. So manpower and force management analysts take on an even more critical role in the sense that we need our professionals to have the skill sets to be able to assess what we have available to us, analyze missions and priorities in support of the local commander and subsequent commanders all the way up to headquarters Department of the Army, so that we in turn can make meaningful and informed recommendations on how they go about making, if you will, informed resource decisions that ultimately impact how much manpower we're going to realize in each of our organizations across the Army.
So, what would you say to someone who's looking to take this manpower and force management course, or who's looking to join the manpower and force management career field?
I would encourage them to do that. I will say this, that I'm going to tell them up front that they need to be prepared that when they take this course, it's going to have a very much an academic, critical thinking kind of a focus, and that's not intended to frighten anyone away at all. It's just that this course is not just about getting through a bunch of PowerPoint slides and checking a mark off on the box that I completed this, that, or the other. No, when you take the course, you're going to be working, and you're going to be working in the context of doing a lot of deep critical thinking, which is important and essential to getting the most benefit from having attended the course. And if you're interested in joining the Career Program 26 community, I would encourage you to do that by all means. There's opportunity out there, and again, it boils back to the fact that this career program for Department of the Army civilians offers the opportunity for someone to really hone their analytical skills. And when you have sharp analytical skills, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, you can't hide in this great Army, because people are going to be coming after you for your subject matter expertise and relying upon you to assist them in making these critical resource-informed decisions. And that's why now more than ever, the course is important, and now more than ever it's important that, and I would encourage those that are interested to get into this career program.
Well, Mr. Lampersberger, I know you've got a course going on, so I appreciate you stepping away and talking with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed the conversation.
Well, everyone, that's all we've got time for today. Please join us for our next segment. In the meantime, feel free to like the Army CP26 Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ArmyCP26. And until then, have a great Army Day.